So the word is that a homeowner had their tree treated by a local arborist, and the local arborist said that he saw oak wilt over here. He did some injection work and he let the HOA know. It's interesting to me because I'm already consulting with the HOA a ways over, like on the other side of the entire neighborhood, and we have an active oak wilt problem over there. So this is a new one for me. I had to check it out first, but like right away you see dead live oak, and coming from the live oak that's alive, you've got discoloration going on in the leaves, and that's just a telltale sign of oak wilt right there. When you have green leaves that have brown veins in the vascular portion of the leaf, that's the way the trees respond to this fungus. Well, the way this thing works, oak wilt can move around. It's known to move around two different ways. One way is by root graft, and that's our worry here in a community like this. So this is a built environment, and everything is engineered to go down to the same kind of storm water drainage and all of that. So these shared areas, these interfaces, and that makes it a huge problem for a neighborhood like this, because you got to bet that this live oak here, which we see is positive for oak wilt, at least the leaves are telling us, is tangling up with roots right there at this storm drain behind us here with another live oak over there. And then it just jumps. It goes here, here, here. If you look at this, if we were to look at this, above in a bird's eye view, we'd see it start somewhere and then it would run like that, outward. And it would run along the paths that it can, but it moves like that. That's what we're worried about here. The second way that it can spread is by long distances. And this has to happen with a red oak. It can't work with a live oak. You have a red oak that's infected with oak wilt. That tree dies, and then under the bark, it goes to fruiting, and it creates a mat, a giant mat of fungal spores that can break open underneath the dead tree's bark. And there's fermentation going on there, so all these beetles are attracted to it and they feed on it, and then those beetles go to other trees that have active sap run, and sap run is caused by damage. Could be hail, could be trash trucks, it could be somebody pruning at the wrong time of year. Those beetles that have been bathing around in that can go a long way and then find themselves inoculating other trees. So that's how it got here first. Gets here first that way, and then this root graft stuff is what it runs through the neighborhood, and it's going to last for a long time. If you have trees that are totally symptomatic, like this one obviously is totally dead, but let's say it had just a little bit of green on it, I would recommend not even trying. It's a removal. The one right next to it, it's looking rough and it looks like it does have symptoms. It's got enough green canopy that we might be able to get a dose of Alamo injected into this tree to where we could maybe sustain it, but it won't ever look better than this. No. This is as good as it'll look if you're successful. The best way to deal with the oak wilt stuff is when you know it's around and it's close, and you've got live oaks that don't have any symptoms, or red oaks that don't have symptoms, you start injecting them. And you keep doing it every 3 to 5 years as long as that oak wilt is running around. And that's the way you deal with it. After you've been around oak wilt for so long, so this neighborhood is like 15 or 20 years younger than a similar neighborhood that's kind of down the river a little ways. They've had oak wilt going on for 20 years. So we know how it's gonna work. It's this exact same ecoregion. That oak wilt has been in that neighborhood, I think, since the 90s, the late 90s. And homeowners have dealt with it for that long. I mean, people have even bought and sold their houses And a lot of the oaks are gone, and they've replaced them with new things. But guess what? It's still lingering around in there. And you can see the trees that maybe were infected, that were treated, and they hung on, and they just look like scraggly trees. So you just have to figure out if it's worth it. There's only one way to inject for oak wilt prevention, and that's doing macro infusion. There are all sorts of new small microjet type systems for injection that are on the market. They don't really work with oak wilt very well because you have to send a large volume of fungicide into the tree, and fungicide is sticky, so it has to be watered down, and it's got to be given to the tree kind of as an uptake, as a natural uptake with the tree rather than pressurization. That's the way you do it.